Could Boston Celtics star shooting guard Malcolm Brogdon really be on the move? In this episode of Celtics Digest, we get into the reports how Malcolm Brogdon is still on the trading block possibly for the Boston Celtics, and we have 5 mock trades revolving around Malcolm Brogdon. So get strapped in, grab your popcorn ready, and welcome to Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz, and before we get started into this topic, just want to let you guys know that 94% of you guys are not subscribed that watch our videos, and we would like to change that. We would like you guys to join the Celtics Digest family. Make sure you guys hit that red button and subscribe. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers, and we're gaining subscribers more and more every single day. We greatly appreciate that, and we want to make sure that you guys keep tapped in as we get closer and closer to the NBA season. It is 1 month away from today that the season starts for the Boston Celtics. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're here for the Celtics Digest family. Would greatly appreciate it. But let's get into the topic at hand today, which is Malcolm Brogdon mock trades. Yes, more news, and we've had a lot of drama, obviously, revolving around Malcolm Brogdon this offseason. First, he was obviously rumored to be traded in the Kristaps Porzingis deal. Then that ultimately fell out. Then there was rumors about how he was not happy that how the Celtics handled his injuries and how the Celtics were dealing with that. And we've also seen the Celtics kind of say it's just business and kind of wipe it under the carpet, kind of just brush it over. But Malcolm Brogdon might not be really happy with the Celtics doing that. Report from Adam Kaufman says that I've heard some whispers that they're still trying to trade Malcolm Brogdon, and Malcolm Brogdon is maybe not being actively dangled by the Celtics in trades, but I believe he is absolutely still on the trade block, and he said this in his episode of Celtics Beat. And I gotta agree with Adam Kaufman here. He's got some great reporting, but honestly, I think the Celtics are definitely expressing to try to trade Malcolm Brogdon still after, he hasn't accepted that we try to move on from him and that we want to welcome him back. I think it's fair for Malcolm Brogdon to think this way and be like, damn, the Celtics have done this multiple times in the past. I'm kind of feeling disrespected, and I totally see why. But if that's the Celtics' case, we're getting closer to the season. We need to move off this guy and definitely get a guard in return. So I've made 5 mock trades revolving around Malcolm Brogdon, and we'll get into what Malcolm Brogdon provides for the team he gets traded for and what the Celtics would get in return and how that benefits the Celtics. So first, let's get started looking at this first mock trade, which is Terry Rozier and a second-round pick coming back to the Boston Celtics for Malcolm Brogdon. Now, I like this deal for the Boston Celtics. Obviously, you bring Terry Rozier back. He's a great piece that obviously was drafted in Boston. A lot of Celtics fans would be happy to have him here. He's a great 6-man. He can shoot the ball well. He can pass the ball well. And I think that he would fit great alongside Payton Pritchard off the bench. And I think he could kind of take that Malcolm Brogdon role from last year. Obviously, his defense isn't as great and his playmaking isn't as great. He's more of a straight-up shooter. But I think that with the Celtics needing more three-point effectiveness, I think that could help out the Celtics. For the Hornets, I think that Malcolm Brogdon going there could kind of help them out with contending for a playoff spot. Obviously, they just brought back Miles Bridges. They signed they have guys like Mark Williams, who did good on his rookie year. They obviously have guys like Gordon Hayward, who's a good veteran. They obviously have guys like LaMelo Ball, who's playing really well, and they want to make the playoffs. So a team like the Hornets, who actually actively want to compete, might trade for Malcolm Brogdon, view him being a better piece than Terry Rozier, and saying, hey, we saw this guy in Milwaukee play off ball, win Rookie of the Year. He can do it alongside LaMelo, and I think he can do terrific. And I think if he can stay healthy and shoot the ball really well, and play some defense alongside LaMelo Ball, I think we have a shot at making the playoffs. We got Brandon Miller, who's actively going to be playing off the bench, probably getting a lot of minutes. So I think the Hornets possibly could consider this move, but I don't know if it's the most likely deal to get done. Next, let's look at a deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves. In this deal, the Minnesota Timberwolves will receive Malcolm Brogdon, while the Celtics will receive Mike Conley and a second-round pick. Now, the Celtics getting Mike Conley in return, I think this is great. I think Mike Conley obviously is a little bit older than Malcolm Brogdon. It's a little bit scary to take on a older contract, but obviously he's on a 1-year deal, so if this were not to work out for the Celtics' favor, and they were not to like how Mike Conley were to provide their services for them, they obviously have $25 million in free agency to benefit them next year. Or if they did like how Mike Conley played for them, they could obviously chop his contract a little bit, give him an extension, because I don't think he's worth $24 million next year. And I think that he would actually benefit playing on the Boston Celtics as a nice six-man. I think he could play perfectly alongside Payton Pritchard. I think he could even compete with Derrick White for this starting point guard position if he joined the Boston Celtics. Ultimately, he can play make, he can defend, and I really like his fit alongside Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, as I think he's not that selfish. I think he would give them more looks than actually take them on himself. Now looking at Malcolm Brogdon with the Timberwolves, again, if the Hornets trade, if the Timberwolves feel that Malcolm Brogdon is better than Mike Conley, obviously they can secure him for an extra year if they like him. Obviously they have the sixth man of the year presence, obviously better shooter, better defender, they think. Timberwolves can take that chance. They obviously could see Anthony Edwards being their main ball handler, kind of like the Hornets with LaMelo. They could see that he can fit great off ball. Maybe they want to pair him alongside Anthony Edwards and use him like that, like the Hornets would. It ultimately comes down to the Timberwolves really want to move off Mike Conley, who has done actually pretty good for them since acquiring him from Utah at the trade deadline, for Malcolm Brogdon for a little bit of a step up. I don't really know. You also have to give up draft capital in this trade, and they did give up a lot of draft capital to get Rudy Gobert. So ultimately, I don't know if the Timberwolves make this move, but I think it would be solid for both teams. Next, let's look at these 3-team deal involving the Pacers and the Clippers. Now, if you missed my last video going over Malcolm Brogdon trades, we did a lot of Buddy Hield trades, but this one I did not mention. The Celtics get Buddy Hield and Jason Preston. The Pacers get Marcus Morris Sr., Amir Coffey, a second-round pick, and a lottery-protected first-round pick. And the Clippers would get Malcolm Brogdon. Now, the Clippers, obviously getting Malcolm Brogdon, they were the team that was very interested in Malcolm Brogdon at the time when we were trying to trade for Kristaps Porzingis. They could obviously have him pair alongside Kawhi and PG, be a good fit alongside all their pieces. They got Norman Powell as well. I think this Clippers team would be stacked if they got Malcolm Brogdon. And if they don't really want to realistically trade for James Harden and give up all that capital, then I guess you can take the cheaper route and get Malcolm Brogdon. For the Celtics, you bring in Buddy Hield, a great shooter, plays off the bench, great six-man, kind of replaces Malcolm Brogdon, just a little bit worse in the defensive side, but I think that Malcolm Brogdon lacks Buddy Hield's great three-point efficiency and volume, and I think that's what the Celtics could actually use from Buddy Hield. Obviously, Preston would be just a young piece, kind of like Jay Scrubb, kind of like J.D. Davison, kind of just there, but have to be moved for the contracts to work. And then for the Pacers, you get salary cap filler in Marcus Morris. Hopefully, you can extend Aaron Nesmith with the money that you save. Then you can possibly look at using Amir Coffey. He's had a lot of bright spots for the Clippers here and there. Maybe he could be a key rotational piece for your future. And then you get a protected lottery first for the future and a second-round pick. So you get the draft capital to make up for Buddy Hield. So you technically don't lose much. Obviously, you're just keeping your main guys in Indiana, but you're getting some extra draft capital. I think this is a win-win-win for all 3 teams. Let's look at this one again just to give your more clearage of it. But Buddy Hield and Jason Preston to the Celtics, Marcus Morris Sr., Amir Coffey, a second and a first to the Pacers, and the Clippers get Malcolm Brogdon. So we're approaching our last 2 trades, and these 2 I feel a little bit more confident that the Celtics could actually pull off. Let's look at this one involving the Orlando Magic, where the Celtics would give up Malcolm Brogdon and Payton Pritchard for Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony. Now, Cole Anthony has been rumored in a lot of news recently. We've seen that he might possibly be on the trade block from the Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic do have a surplus of guards. They just drafted Anthony Black. They have obviously Markelle Fultz and Cole Anthony in this trade being involved. They got Jalen Suggs. They just drafted Jet Howard. So they do have a lot of guards that they could potentially want to move off of. And I think that this trade would benefit both teams. Obviously, you can't do Cole Anthony for Malcolm Brogdon straight up. The contracts wouldn't work. So that's why I threw Payton Pritchard and Markelle Fultz in the deal to make it work. I think that bringing in Cole Anthony to the Celtics would be a nice 6-man rejuvenated piece that could actually develop with the team, and he could actually work out alongside these nice Celtics players. I think he could complement Brown well. I think he could complement Tatum. I think he could complement Derrick White very well. Also, Markelle Fultz, we did draft Tatum over him in that 2017 draft, but Markelle Fultz would finally have his chance to come back to Boston after he's actually kind of revitalized his career in Orlando, actually proven that he can actually be a good defensive player, can actually hustle and actually kind of work on his shot a little bit. Not the greatest jump shot, obviously, but Markelle Fultz is definitely a gritty grind point guard that you could want on your team that is going to fight for the ball and actually give the Celtics what they want. Obviously, for the Magic in return, they get Payton Pritchard, a guy who can kind of similarly replace Cole Anthony, just a new face in a new city. Just hope that it works out. Hopefully, he can be a little bit better than Cole Anthony for you guys. And then, obviously, Malcolm Brogdon can hopefully be your third piece for the Orlando Magic to make the play-in. Obviously, you got your star in Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, your two wings. Why don't you bring in a guard like Malcolm Brogdon, who just won Sixth Man of the Year, who can definitely be your starting point guard over your, clouded room of young guys that you don't know who is the right guy. Have Malcolm Brogdon come in, have him be a big veteran leader on this Orlando Magic team, help him develop Anthony Black, and then in a year or two, when Anthony Black is ready to be that third star for this Orlando Magic team, you can put Malcolm Brogdon to the bench or even fade Malcolm Brogdon out of the situation and have your three guys ready to go. I think this works perfectly for both teams, and I'd be very excited if the Celtics were to make this move, especially coming up with this next one as well. I'd be very happy if the Celtics were to look at this and give their old friend Danny Ainge a call. Yes, the Celtics would be getting Colin Sexton and a first-round pick lottery protected in 2025 from the Utah Jazz for Malcolm Brogdon. Now, I really like this move for the Celtics. Obviously, Utah has tons and tons of picks from the Donovan Mitchell trades and the Rudy Gobert trades. They can move off of one lottery-protected first and give them to their old friends in Boston for taking on a younger, less experienced player in Colin Sexton. Obviously, Colin Sexton would be great, making $17 million a year, not that expensive, great for the Boston Celtics, great playmaker, great defender that we've seen this year. Obviously, he's had a lot of injury history with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and that's why his contract wasn't really sought out after in free agency before he was involved in the sign and trade with the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz kind of just bought into him, but they gave him a movable contract to work, and I think that this could actually benefit the Boston Celtics greatly if they were to bring in Colin Sexton, develop him as a nice six-man, and had him as a piece to play alongside Tatum and Brown, as he could kind of grow with the team as well, give him some confidence, and welcome to a great city. Malcolm Brogdon obviously would be great with the Utah Jazz. Could kind of be their starting point guard as Sexton kind of is, and I feel that Malcolm Brogdon has more of a presence for them. I think he would work better alongside their team as well. I think that Malcolm Brogdon, being a great ball handler and being able to play off ball would work great alongside the wings of Markkanen, John Collins. Obviously, you have Walker Kessler and Jordan Clarkson with Malcolm Brogdon. I think that's a great team to contend for the play-in for the Utah Jazz in the Western Conference, and possibly with the news of Damian Lillard being on the move and seeing Utah being rumored to be interested in Tyler Hero, a team of Malcolm Brogdon, Tyler Hero, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, and John Collins. That's a star-studded team ready to make the playoffs for Utah. So if Utah were to accept that deal for Tyler Hero, I would definitely consider Danny Ainge, Brad Stevens having a little reunion, having a nice little phone call, and trying to get this deal done. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Which out of these 5 trades did you guys enjoy the most? And I greatly appreciate it if you guys let us know. Tomorrow is media day for the whole NBA, so make sure that you guys are subscribed to the Celtics Digest channel and join the Celtics Digest family. We'll be covering Celtics almost daily here, and with media day being tomorrow, there'll be a bunch of news coming out in the next few days, so make sure you're subscribed and make sure that you can get all your Celtics news here on Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.